Alright guys, welcome back to another operaomnia video where we're going to be talking about Leon, who's going to be getting his crystal level 80 and his LD weapon. Now, oddly enough, he is not getting any type of rework and only his LD ability. Also, as part of the boss rush that is releasing alongside with the LD weapon that is dropping for Leon, Jack is also going to be featured in that same banner, but he is also not getting anything aside from a high armor plus. So we're not going to talk about him at all in this video and mainly just talk about Leon with his LD ability and determine whether or not it is actually worth picking up his LD weapon now or just waiting until a future banner to pick up his LD ability. So with that being said, if you guys do enjoy the video, consider liking the video and subscribing for future operaomnia content. Let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Let's talk about Leon's LD ability. Leon's LD ability, which is called Dark Erosion. Now, this does not include his LD extension. We will get to that after we read the basics of his LD ability. So it is a 4-hit AoE Dark Melee Brave plus an AoE HP attack that has 2 HP dumps in total. It deals splits HP damage and it recovers HP to self based on 50% of the total HP damage dealt, with a recovery limit of 35% of his max HP. It inflicts 2 debuffs and grants him 1 buff. The first debuff is called Dark Resist Down 2 targets for 4 actions on the first HP attack. The other one is called Dark Drain, which is inflicted to all targets for 6 actions. And then the buff, which is called Call of Darkness, is granted to himself for 9 actions. Now, the buff Call of Darkness gives him a 20% attack up and a 20% Stolen Brave Max Brave Overflow limit up. He recovers Brave to himself based on 20% of the total HP damage dealt. After the HP attack only once per turn, he gets a 10% HP damage dealt up, and the party gets a 30% HP damage taken reduction, which can come in handy in case you have to take an AoE hit. Then it'll help you in reducing the amount of HP damage that the enemy is about to slap you with. Now, the debuff Dark Drain, what that is that aside from the trap, it also has a brave damage taken up 20%. So that means that whenever you are attacking them, as long as they have that inflicted, you will be doing a little bit of extra brave damage on the enemy. Now, with the trap, after the enemy acts, it will trigger the trap Dark Drain, which it recovers Brave to self based on 20% of their own max Brave, and then it's a 4-hit Dark Magic Brave plus an HP attack. It has Overflow and it deals 20% splash HP damage to non-targets on the last HP attack. It recovers HP to the party based on 50% of the total HP damage dealt to the target, with a recovery limit of 10% of the max HP, and it cannot initiate chase. Now, the other thing about the LD ability, is that Leon's Brave Attack and HP Attack turns into the +++ version. So the Brave Attack is now a 4-hit melee Brave Attack, and then the HP Attack is now going to be a 3-hit melee Brave plus an HP attack. It does have a little bit of overflow, and then it also recovers HP to Leon based on 20% of the HP damage dealt, with a recovery limit of 10% of his max HP. Now, for his LD extension, the Burning Desires Extend, when the quest begins, he does start off with that Call of Darkness buff to himself for 4 actions. Now, whenever he is using his Dark Erosion ability, he gets an increase in Brave hits by 2, he gets an increase in Brave potency by a tremendous amount, and he does get an increase in the Stolen Brave Max Brave Overflow limit being now at 200%, so that'll help him out in being able to in being able to deal a little bit of extra HP damage. Now, whenever using Dark Drain, which is the trap, it adds HP attack before the first Brave attack, and it allows for 120% recovered Brave Max Brave Overflow. Now, for Leon's call abilities, his Dark Bind ability will be his first call, which will heal the allies' HP by 30% of the HP damage dealt up to 30% of their max HP after he does his attack. And then for his his LD ability will do his normal LD attack, and then it will inflict the Dark Resistance down and the Dark Drain trap debuff. Both of them will last for 4 actions, and it does trigger after the enemy acts. And then it will still deal the 20% splash HP damage. It will recover the HP to the party based on 50% of the HP damage dealt, with a recovery limit of 10% of their max HP. So now we get to the point of the video where you guys determine whether or not it is actually worth pulling for Leon's LD weapon based off of what you heard so far, and of course what I am about to say with my experiences that I have with Leon using him in the JP side of Operaomnia. So with Leon, I love the fact that he is the only character that has the unique ability to actually enchant the enemies with darkness. Why did I put a pause right there? With darkness, and at the same time make it so that everybody in the party is able to absorb darkness, which in turn is a big plus to us, because with that we are basically getting free brave from the enemies, which is, you know, can come in handy. Now of course we still can take HP damage, but now with Leon's LD ability, we are able to get a bit of a reduction in the amount of HP damage that we take. Now, of course, there is a limit to that, because, like, you know, if the enemies have a huge amount of HP damage that they're about to slap us with, then, well, you know, it's an easy pause button and then having to reset the fight all over again. But, you know, aside from that, with his LD ability, though, you know, I do like the fact that with the traps, you know, it does make me feel a little bit comfortable about having Leon in team cons, because, like, I know that after the enemy, if the enemy does decide, like, hey, I'm gonna hit you with an HP attack, you know, I have that HP reduction. I do also have that little bit of healing that I get as well from that trap after they do act, which can come in handy in some tight situations, especially if you know that the enemies, they love to spam HP attacks, and even if they are small HP attacks, you know, over time it can get a bit annoying to try to recover it, especially if, like, say they have like high turn rate, or if they just get so many turns, or if they have multiple enemies that you have to encounter, then, you know, Leon can actually be pretty helpful in terms of making sure that your party is healed up, or at least somewhat healed, to the point where you know that you won't die and you can continue on with the fight. Another thing with his kit is that if you are fully healed with his LD ability and his kit in general, if you are fully healed, that excess HP that was supposed to be recovered actually changes over to Brave. So that way you have, in a way, you kind of have a bit of like Brave battery-ish, but like I wouldn't rely entirely on that. Only because, like, you know, there is a limit to that based on the percentage of the HP damage that is dealt with the trap, and then of course depending on the amount of HP that your character has as well, because again, like I mentioned earlier in this video, with the percentages, those percentages do matter, so the amount of Brave that you are going to recover is not going to be a lot. Now the con, the one con that I do have with Leon is the fact that I myself, from what I can tell, from him being outside of Synergy, taking him into Lufenia fights, or maybe even a few Lufenia Plus fights that I've taken him into, the biggest con that I see on him is that with his skill 1 and skill 2, the damage and the potency is not there. Now, obviously, I know that damage is not entirely everything. You know, I've always been like a fan of like team cons being first before everything else. But once you got the team comp set up and everything like that, you know, the damage with a skill 1 and skill 2 is just like not there. Like if you're wanting to see like some good damage out of Leon, you will see it via his EX ability or his LD ability and his traps as well. And again, the thing that really helps him out a little bit is the fact that, you know, with the excess HP that you do recover, it does turn into Brave. So it does help him out a little bit, because in a way you kind of, but not entirely. So don't take this with a grain of salt. You kind of somewhat sort of have like an Iroha type of mechanic within Leon with his with how his kit works, but it's not entirely the same because he doesn't actually keep the Brave after you deal with an HP attack. You know, you kind of get like that refund back. Actually, no, I think Iroha is probably not the best character to compare this with Leon. There's probably like another character that has a much better comparison that is just not popping into my mind right now. But you get what I'm saying. So with that being said, Leon, I will not say he is a bad character at all, because he does have that unique mechanic in his kit to basically give you free Brave and at the same time keep your cheeks safe, you know, with the fact that he is able to enchant the enemies with Dark Enchant, and we can actually absorb that. So, you know, like I said, we get a little bit of something in return with that. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm like throwing words out there. But overall, though, no, like in general, though, like if you are wanting somebody to keep you, let's see here, if you are wanting a utility type of character who will give you constant healing in between like enemy actions, Leon is a pretty good character just for that. It would have been a big plus if Leon did actually enchant the party with darkness. That would be a tremendous plus for him, because that way he would actually be more in the supportive role, in my opinion. But if, for me, from what I can tell, he is more in the utility range, just because of the fact of what he does with just like his kit, and the fact that with the traps he does have that little bit of healing and that little bit of brave back, I guess, like if you want to put that together, that you get out of it as long as you are fully healed. So but overall, though, I mean, like Leon, he's a solid character in my opinion. He's good to pick up on if you are needing a character that has that decent healing in between his attacks, and not only just from his traps, of course, but you also have his skill 2 as well, which does a good amount of healing for the party as well. You know, usually with FF2 characters, their main thing about them is really just like healing. That's the thing about FF2 characters that I have noticed in the Dissidia series is just that right there. So like they make sure that you are gonna be safe throughout the entire match, and that you are healed and whatnot. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But is he a must pull? I will say that he is not necessary, but he is pretty convenient to have, actually, especially for a couple Lufenias down the line, where for those who are for those enemies who are very HP happy, Leon can actually be pretty handy to have, but you will need some support, like some auras to help him out if you are wanting him to deal some type of damage to help you complete fights later on. So that's the way that I see Leon as a character. But like I said, you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. And of course, you know, all opinions are welcome. And yeah, other than that, that's going to be it for the video, guys. If you guys did enjoy it, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video.